What is up, Big Blue Nation? It's Robin Donald. This is Nerdin' Out Sports, and the New York Giants. Did it again. They are 6-1. It's Victory Monday night for some people over in
Victory Monday
Scotland.
drink.
Yes, sir. Big. I don't want to see that logo.
Cheers.
Big cheers to the G-men. They did it again. We're 6-1, and it's a great feeling. It did not come without some tough news, though. Injuries up the roster, offensive line, and, of course, Daniel Bellinger being out with the fractured eye, which was just a dirty play that did not get called.
The Jaguars did a lot of dirty things, but the refs were just as dirty. They let the Jags away with murder.
That they did. There was roughing the passer calls that were just terrible, like Dexter Lawrence tugging the jersey, and he got called for it. But just so bad. But
Even the refs, even the ref that calls the games was like, it's not really what you're looking for with roughing the passer. It's not really the standards that we expect. But the officiating has been really bad all year long, all around the league. But
across the league,
I have to be honest, it seems to be always happening to the Giants. Basically every week since I would say the Packer game, it's getting worse.
Yeah, I've noticed that. It's like they don't want us to have this good feeling. It's like we got to make these guys lose at some point, and they almost gave it to the Jaguars. I hate putting any blame on the refs and be like, oh, this shouldn't have happened, but the fact that they took away would have been 2 game-winning defensive plays on that last drive to extend the drive for Jacksonville, especially that pick. I don't know. I forgot what the call was, but it was just such a terrible call that took away the interception for Fabian Moreau that would have sealed the deal and not given us a literal heart attack at the 1-yard line. But despite the referee's best efforts, the Giants still pulled away with the W.
Yeah, the last drive was very shady. Let's just put it that way. Very shady. Not even questionable calls. It's completely wrong calls. Like, for instance, I'm certain that Thibodeau was actually being held like that around his neck.
Yep.
He was around his neck, and nothing was called. But of course, it was called against the Giants, and then put them up further 15 yards, and then they were right there, and they had the chance to win the game right there. But we managed to stop them at the 1. Bunch of calls that were very, very, very questionable. So, I'm concerned about that moving forward. I don't know where they're coming from. And then when you add that to the weird clock management that was going on when we were trying to kneel in the victory formation against the Packers,
they had a time.
We're really starting to rack up some of the really dodgy things going on. I am not quite seen officiating quite like this against the Giants in a long time.
I mean, I guess it's what happens when you win games that you're probably not supposed to. Anyway, let's get into the game itself, though, because it was a fun one despite the actual headache that we were getting at the end of it, the back and forth. It's been like that all season, but this was actually a pretty competitive game. Both teams were really fighting for it, and it literally came down to the last play, the last second, and
last yard.
The last yard, yeah. That was that kind of game. I mean, the Jaguars, give credit to them. Their offense is something because they were just beating us up once again for about 3.5 quarters, and the Giants were able to make the stop when they needed to and come up with some big plays there at the end. But I think we have to start with the quarterback. We got to start with Danny Dimes, Danny Legs, whatever you want to call him. The dude did his thing yesterday, and he led us to victory.
Brilliant performance from Daniel Jones. Probably easily his best start of the year. I would say it's probably best start in a couple of years. He's getting better week on week. He really is. He's playing so well that the league is starting to notice him. The league is starting to turn around and go, okay, maybe we underestimated this guy. Certainly, Giant fans are, and I'll include myself in that. He's blowing me away. He's blowing me away. There's not an ounce of criticism I could possibly even consider giving him. He played as close to perfect as you could possibly do. His throws were spot on, apart from like a bunch of drops, which were not his fault at all. And he was really pissed about that. You could see his face. He's competitive, and he's doing whatever it takes to win, and he's making the clutch plays. And he ran for a ton of yards. He passed for a decent amount of yards, and he just was. He had total authority in the pocket, total command of everything, and of the offense, and I'm really impressed with what I saw from Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say enough about what he's done. I mean, yesterday, and what I'm noticing, it's not so much the stats, like the rushing yards, which was fantastic and all that. The fact that he's still not turning the football over. It's like you mentioned, awareness. He's moving up in the pocket. It's like he's sensing pressure, because we've seen it before. He'll just stand there like a statue, not move around, and get walloped and let go of the ball. Or he'll force a throw into double coverage or triple coverage. Now he's moving around in the pocket. He's gaining yards, even if it's 1 or 2 or 3. He's getting positive yards, or he's getting rid of the football. He did that yesterday late in the game. He rolled out, avoided pressure, got rid of the ball. 2 years ago, 1 year ago, whatever, he's throwing a pick on that play, or he's fumbling. Mm-hmm. And he's just a smarter player. And that's one thing that Eli Manning mentioned a few weeks ago. He said Daniel Jones is playing smart. He's playing a lot smarter than he did before. And this all circles back to the great job these coaches have done with him. They were very vocal about him being the quarterback, and a lot of people didn't agree with that. But we kind of had no choice and say, okay, let's see what they can do. And the numbers are, again, his numbers are not going to pop out at you. He's not going to lead the league in yards, touchdowns. He's still under 10 for the year. But he is 6th in QBR, if you want to look at QBR, the ESPN rating or whatever that is. But he's got 5 game-winning drives. The next highest is 3. I mean, he's got the clutch factor this year, and that's all you can ask for him. If we're asking for this guy to be Tannehill-esque, just put up numbers like he did for the Titans, which led them to the number 1 seed and a perennial playoff team for a few years. He's doing that. And plus, he's doing it on the ground. The guy balled out yesterday, and he's getting, like you said, better every single week. You can't really find a flaw. And some of these throws that he's making to these practice squad guys that they can't catch it, he's throwing darts. Like that play to Marcus Johnson on 4th down, you have to catch that. That was a perfect pass, and that's why
there.
Yep, right in the chest. He was so angry. And you don't see him do that. He even apologized for it, because he knew that was as good of a throw as you can make in that spot, and you've got to catch it. But, I mean, I'm absolutely thrilled with what we're seeing from Jones. We're not losing games. We are winning games because of him.
I'm starting to think how good he could be with some wide receivers.
At least give him one, right? Like, I think, Slayton on the outside did his, he had a good catch in the opening drive, which was what we said. He kind of attacked them early. They didn't do that the rest of the way. Wandale looked good yet again, so he's starting to become a legit weapon for Daniel Jones. But outside of that, I don't trust Richie James. Definitely can't trust Marcus Johnson and David Sills. These are practice squad guys. James is a special teamer. I would like to think it'd be a lot different if Shepard never got hurt, or if God forbid, Kadarius Toney finds the field, or Kenny Golladay gets back out there, which I don't know what they could possibly give us. But if we can get him at least another weapon, whether that's DJ Moore, Elijah Moore, or returning Odell Beckham, I'm still going to hold out hope for that. This offense can really cook. But one thing Joe Shane did say was that they're not going to shy away from what the plan is. So they're not going to go give up draft capital for a receiver if they have to give up too much. I think that's a good thing, despite the fact that we're 6-1 in a playoff push all of a sudden. I like that Joe Shane's not saying, let's revamp our whole philosophy and try to make a trade and give up draft capital. So I want a weapon, but I can understand where Shane saying, I'm not going to change our plan here.
Oh, yeah, because, at the end of the day, there's still so many holes in this team that need filled in the draft that it isn't wise to give up draft capital unless it's a low draft pick, like a fifth round or maybe even a fourth round. I would consider, but it would need to be the right deal. I can't imagine the Giants are done at wide receiver, though. I think they'll need to add something. Marcus Johnson, I'd kick off the team like today for his performance yesterday. It was completely unacceptable. But then again, who else are we gonna bring into this situation? So yeah, we really are in a tough spot with the receivers, and then with Daniel Bellinger, who's Daniel Jones' probably favorite target, probably certainly most reliable. Him getting that eye injury and out indefinitely is terrible news. What have you heard about this? Like, how long do you think it's going to be? Or...
Dable hasn't given a timetable. He spoke earlier today, and he basically said, like you just said, out indefinitely. They're holding out hope that he can come back this year, but he needs surgery.
Oh, no.
And he needs surgery for a fracture of the eye. And just to think of all the things that the referees call, the hands in the face mask, and he gets poked in the eye, he's bleeding, he has to leave the game and go to the hospital. That's scary. And you're hearing it's a fracture and he needs surgery. I don't know if he comes back this year. I think it'd be a shocker and a blessing if he does. I wouldn't rush it back because you're dealing with an eye. You know how it's a very sensitive part of the body, obviously.
So he could. My God. So the surgery is to fix his sight. Is he not able to see right now, or
it was something with the eye socket? I'm not exactly sure what it was.
The eyes like come out.
I don't think it was that gruesome, but I know it was bad enough that he had to go to the hospital. He ended up coming back with the team at the end, but he does need surgery. I'll try to find out as much information as I can, but
yeah, that's just heartbreaking.
A big blow.
It's a big blow, but heartbreaking for him too because he's having such a great year. Like certainly in the consideration as one of the offensive rookies of the year. So that is terrible news, and I don't know what we're going to do tight end to counteract that loss. I mean, what are you thinking, Tanner Hudson?
It's got to be Hudson. It's got to be Myrick. They could elevate. I forgot who it is they had on the practice squad, but I don't know if
the Jets.
Yeah, maybe they're gonna have to because they need another tight end. You're not gonna roll with just two.
And Myrick's been playing fullback for the most part.
Yeah, and Hudson's been good, but he's been more of a blocker. So you kind of have to hope that one of those two can fill the void. Because Bellinger was, like you mentioned, just such a reliable target. He was catching everything thrown his way. He has 3 touchdowns out of the 6 that Jones has thrown. So he's been the go-to guy, especially in the red zone. He's been the go-to guy.
Yeah, that's a brutal injury. So prayers up for Bellinger whenever he comes back.
Absolutely.
Next year, whatever. But most important thing is his health. But yeah, certainly from Giants' perspective, very, very bad news. And once again, another example of the filthy play that the Jaguars were doing on the field yesterday.
And 2 other injuries, Brad Bredesen and Evan Neal, both kind of good news. Neal has an MCL sprain, but they don't think he's going to miss too much time. He could miss about 4 weeks, which would only be 3 games because we have the bye. So I think we can survive with Tyree Phillips. He looked okay yesterday. But Bredesen going down concerns me because he was playing really well. Mm-hmm. And Izudu, I'm a lot more concerned with Izudu for 3 games than I would be with Phillips for 3 games, if that makes sense.
Definitely. I like Tyree Phillips. He's a big dude. He's going to be okay. The less we see of Izudu right now, the better. He's not quite NFL ready. He needs a lot of work.
Yeah. Hopefully they can just ride the wave, and when they get these guys back, and if we can still find a way to win maybe 2 of these next 3 and be in a great position when we get our 2 offensive linemen back, I think we'll be okay. The opponents are tough, but they're not impossible to beat over these next few games. But going back to Jacksonville, Saquon Barkley ran wild, especially in the fourth quarter. 110 yards total on the ground on 24 carries. His longest run was 20 yards, and he also added 25 through the air on 4 receptions. He was doing the thing, man. He was running wild in the fourth quarter, and that combination of Jones and 2-6, it's Jones and Barkley, 8 and 2-6, man. They didn't throw the ball in the fourth quarter. They just had to run it, and the Jaguars couldn't stop it.
He was a total non-factor in the first half. But once again, our coaching staff made the adjustments necessary. Get that ball to Daniel Jones. Get that ball to Saquon Barkley. Run. And it worked. It paid off. Saquon certainly, as I mentioned, he's turning into a Derrick Henry type where as the game goes on, he becomes stronger and stronger and more difficult to bring down. And that's the case with Saquon, man. His cuts are sensational. He's really running hard, running well, and he's impossible to bring down. Impossible to stop. Once he gets going, he's impossible to bring down. So he had a huge fourth quarter. And I can't say enough about Saquon, man. I think we need to be speaking to his agent and negotiating a new contract.
I think they will. I'm hoping they don't go the franchise tag route, but it is so cheap to tag a running back that they might have no choice but to do it, and then maybe they can rework a deal after that. Saquon seems like a team guy, knowing that the Giants are kind of strapped for cash. I don't think he's going to take too much of a discount, but I think they're going to have to move some money around in order to free up the space because the way it's looking right now, you're going to want to re-sign Saquon and possibly Daniel Jones. That's still up in the air. So they're going to need to find a way to make money. But I think Saquon is almost a guarantee lock that they're going to re-sign him in some capacity this offseason.
I don't think you can tag Daniel Jones because the franchise tag for a starting quarterback is through the roof.
Yeah, it's like 20-something million, I think.
Yeah. So I don't think we can afford to do that because that's basically our entire cap.
Yeah.
So almost. So that wouldn't make a lot of sense. So either we sign Daniel Jones to a multi-year contract, maybe a 2-year deal with a 1-year opt-out or something like that to allow the Giants some flexibility. But that's obviously for a separate conversation, future conversation. But I think that Saquon Barkley has to be re-signed. He's just at the heart of our team.
The offense with 1,000% revolves around him. If he's not out there, it's a lot more difficult for this offense to generate any sort of yards. But I do like how they're getting Breida involved now. They kind of have no choice, especially with the tight end hurt, with Bellinger out. They got Breida involved. It wasn't a ton, but when he was out there, he was making plays. He was making some guys miss, and he was looking shifty out there, and I loved what I saw. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that moving forward, especially with the not even less talent to throw the football to. You're going to see a lot of Matt Breida out of the backfield and maybe a set with both of them out there with Saquon and Breida in the backfield, try to mix things up, catch the defense off guard.
Yeah, well, it's a big part of Kafka's scheme. A lot of there's a couple of situations where you'll have 2 running backs, and I think it's a good idea. Breida's fast and he's shifty. I think it's a good idea for sure. Okay, so which players on defense stood out to you?
There weren't a lot, to be perfectly honest, because our defense was getting relatively torched for a while up until the last. I'll go the obvious route. Kayvon Thibodeau, the chase down to start the second half. If he doesn't chase down Etienne, that could have been. I don't think it would have been a touchdown, but it could have set them up for like a much easier score. He played great yet again. Didn't get a sack. I don't think the Giants had any sacks. No, they didn't. I thought he played fine. Adoree Jackson looked good. And Fabian Moreau, I might have to go Moreau because he once again had himself a pretty good day. He ended up with 5 tackles and a pass defended. He's been great.
He's been one of the shutdown corners in the NFL.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? What a signing! Like, where did that come from?
You know, they mentioned it during the broadcast that Wink Martindale said, because he's been on 3 or 4 different teams in the past 3 years. And he said, you're a good player. You're a good tackler. Go out there and show him. And he made that tackle. He was the first one there to finish the game. Just think, our hearts would have been broken if not for Fabian Moreau yesterday.
That's a great point. My God. He's just been, what a signing. Absolute steal. Bargain basement, and he's been balling out. Huge signing. Julian Love got the turnover. He played really well too.
He did. Here's a pun. Love him. He's great. He's so underrated. Not many people know about him, which is fine. He's going to be one of those, I would hope, staples in our defense for a very long time. Him and McKinney is one of the better duos in football right now, and they all have a chance to get better.
Exactly. No, Julian Love really stood out to me. That was kind of it. The run defense was not good. ETN ran rings around the Giants.
Yeah. It's been a pretty common theme since week 1. The Giants can't stop the run at all. We stopped Derrick Henry, which is incredible that we were able to stop him under 100 yards. But since then, every team, I think, has put up over 100 yards. At least one running back has gone over 100 against us. Not Green Bay, actually, but because they didn't run the ball. But when teams run the ball against us, they're having a ton of success, and it's putting us in very bad situations that we're eventually going to give up more touchdowns. But they got to fix this run defense. They need linebackers, and I'm hoping we see more Landon Collins, but they desperately need linebackers because the defensive line can't do it themselves. When that's been our biggest issue. Once you get to that second level, who's tackling the running back? So far, we don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, we were certainly strapped in terms of pass rush with Zimenez, Ojulari injured. Ojulari's been hurt a lot. He's been basically hurt all year long. That's something to be worried about, perhaps. He's been hurt a lot. Zimenez has been hurt. We were really struggling for pass rush, which was still amazing that Thibodeau had the amount of wins that he did. And even though he didn't get a sack, a lot of pressures. And he did that with the fact that probably the sole focus was him and on the pass rush, and he still had a couple of wins, which were key for us to hold them. Again, bend but don't break. We really exemplify that now at this point. 17 points, but they ran the ball really well. They got into a lot of situations where you'd think that they were going to score a lot, but the Giants just stopped them.
Yeah, you think about
fourth
the
down
fumble.
stops.
Yeah, the fumble, the fourth down stop, the missed extra point, which obviously didn't have that significant of an impact on the game, but the fumble especially because he was going to the end zone when they popped that ball out.
That extra point. That was a big play. That was a really good play.
I don't remember who it was. I'll have to find out. But yeah, that was a big play. That kind of sparked a little bit of momentum because once they did that, the defense was a lot better. It's like that fired them up. And once they got fired up, they got the fourth down stop, which obviously they don't win the game without that. So, hey, look, they're bending a lot. Like it's like they must be Gumby out there because they just keep bending and bending and bending. But they're not breaking. It's not breaking, and they're keeping us in the game enough for the offense to come up in a big spot, and Daniel Jones to come up in a big spot and lead them down the field. It's happening every single week except for one. So at some point, you want to see a more complete game from the defense to where you don't have to worry about this at the end of the game. But, I mean, it's working right now. And, again, we're doing this with a lot of, I guess, a very less talented roster than most of the teams in the NFL, especially the teams that have the better records. We definitely have the least amount of talent.
I'd like to see more pass rush, though.
Yes.
I definitely need to see more sacks moving forward. But I just think that we're doing the best we can with the personnel that we have. And the fact that we're 6-1 in this scenario is quite phenomenal. Really, can't say enough about our coaching staff. So obviously the automatic candidate would be Daniel Jones as to who stood out to you offensively. Anybody else apart from Jones and Saquon that you quite liked?
I love the touchdown by Slayton, but that's really all we saw of him. After that first drive, he had 2 catches, and he only had 1 the rest of the way through. Wandale, man, he really stood out again. I think he had 6 receptions for, what was it, about 50 some odd yards? Let me get the total. Yeah, 50 yards exactly. I like what I'm seeing from him. He's stepping up. He's only his second full game out there, and he got more action than a week. He had 8 targets, 6 receptions. He had a drop, I believe, but everybody else did as well. But he's looking like a guy that Jones can rely on, which we need.
Yeah, no, you're right. Wandale really is looking better week on week now that he's healthy. Good player. Looks like a good pick right there. I'm probably going to give it to Slayton just for that catch. It was a hell of a catch in the end zone. How he held on to that, just fantastic.
You know what's funny is on the day that we see Evan Ingram for the first time, he was catching everything thrown his way, which he usually dropped everything for us. And our guys are dropping everything thrown their way. I think it was Kid Blue who mentioned it on the stream. It's like, I don't remember who it was. Somebody said that his presence is forcing the Giants receivers to drop passes. It's just his presence is like making us have butterfingers again. I don't remember who it was, but the presence of Evan Ingram caused our receivers to have butterfingers.
I'm still pissed at Marcus Johnson. I mean, dude, multiple drops, not just 1, but 2 terrible drops. Also, really bad drop from Richie James. There's at least 3 terrible drops.
Yeah, I think they had, what was it, 6 or 7 in total?
Oh my God.
And you think about the incompletions, Jones had, it was 19 of 30. So if you catch 4 of those 6 drops, his numbers look a lot better. And obviously he would have another touchdown because Marcus Johnson has to catch that ball. It's right there.
It was all Jones' throws were completely accurate. They were perfect. Really just, yeah, people need to kind of help him out a little bit, for God's sake, because he's doing a lot of stuff on his own. Ran almost 100 yards himself, and he's really just throwing to, well, now with Bellinger out, it's going to be just Slayton and Wandale. It's man, I just can't say enough about Daniel Jones, man. He's got a big heart, and he's becoming a better quarterback week on week, to the point now where, you know, we are actually now discussing the possibility of him being back next year.
Who would have thought?
I know, right? It's looking a lot like that, I'll tell you.
His numbers were just fantastic. 202 yards in total through the air on 19 completions and touchdown, only 1 sack, and he ran for 107 yards and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
That is
no turnovers.
No turnovers. He had the 1 pick that was taken away because of the roughing the passer. That actually was roughing the passer, not like the Dexter Lawrence call. But he balled out, and you're hearing people try to defend him now. Like the media is starting to actually get out. Like Rex Ryan is actually very pro Daniel Jones, and Mike Greenberg. Yeah, and Orlovsky was just trying to downplay everything he's done, saying he's not the reason the Giants are winning. I don't know if he watched the game yesterday. And then he said that, of course, you're not going to turn the ball over because you're not throwing. I don't know if he's ever watched Daniel Jones before, but his issues has never been the interception. It's been the fumbles. He's thrown picks. Every quarterback will, but he's been a
you can't say he's not throwing if he threw for 30 times.
Well, I mean, the fourth quarter, they didn't throw the ball, like, at all.
Right.
But you can still fumble the ball. I don't think Orlovsky remembers that. You can still fumble, and Daniel Jones has had an issue with that in his career, but he's not doing it yet this year, knock on wood.
I know. I just think that you also have to bear in mind the game plan. He doesn't have receivers to throw to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who's he supposed to throw to all the time, for God's sake?
The water boy. You have to put the water boy out there. Put one of us.
Honestly, it's just cut the guy some slack. The guy's 6-1. As you say, he's led 5 comebacks in the fourth quarter. That that tells me the story, man. He's if you want a comeback player of the year, it's him.
I mean, I would probably think it goes. Would they give it to Saquon? Because he wasn't hurt last year. He just was struggling. I mean, we could have two of the top 5 candidates maybe on our team right now.
Yeah. But it's
Jones
just, I
and
think,
Barkley.
considering how Jones was completely written off as a backup quarterback in this league from most pundits, and he's come back and he looks like a genuine solid quarterback in this league. So all comes down to his hard work and the coaching staff doing a tremendous job. So, yeah, big shout out to Daniel Jones, his best start of the year. And long may it continue, man. I mean, he's got some favorable matchups ahead. Seattle are not good defensively. The Texans are not good. The Lions are not good defensively. There's 3 teams that are not good defensively. The Commandos, the Commanders, the Communists, whoever you want to call them, they're beatable. There's a very favorable set of games that Jones can continue to go from strength to strength with.
Yeah, you're right, and I've been thinking about it because I know my preseason, my prediction was we're going to win anywhere between 6 to 9 games. I kept seeing 8 as the number that I kept landing on. We're already at 6, and we have a lot of favorable games. I don't know if they go to Seattle and win. I think that's going to be very difficult because Seattle's playing on a very high level right now.
Yeah, what the hell?
They're playing great football. Texans are beatable. Lions are beatable. Commanders are beatable. I do think we can take one from Dallas or Philly in the 3 games we have left. One of those 3 we can probably take. I don't know who would be against. I think we can.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
And I think we can beat the Colts. The Colts are beatable. That's a lot of games. That puts us at what, 11, 12 wins?
I don't even think the Vikings are unbeatable either, to be honest. I don't think they're that phenomenal.
It's a favorable schedule, and that's why even though I didn't think we were going to be very good this year, I kept saying they're going to steal some wins because the schedule favors it.
Mm-hmm.
And it favors the NFC East is playing a very soft schedule. Philly might go 15-2 or something, or 16-1.
They're really good. Really good team. Shall we go into our predictions?
Yes, let's go into our predictions.
Okay, so Rob, you had the Giants beating the Jags 21-17.
It's that close.
I had the Giants beating the Jags 24-21. So we were right there. Both of us were really right there. So with a 6-point gap, technically you were the closest because you actually managed to nail the Jags' exact score.
Thank God for that blocked extra point, which, by the way, was Nick McLeod that got the blocked extra point.
Oh, Nick McLeod, yeah. He's actually been decent too in some ways. He's certainly good in special teams.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Rob, we're going to give you the W for that. Although I think we could both certainly be happy with that. Alex had 23-27, so he gets the loss. Tudo had the Giants winning 23-20. So he nailed the Giants score too. Yeah, he did. So anyway, Rob gets the dub. Okay, now, Rob, you had Daniel Jones getting 210 yards passing?
Yes.
Alex 223. I had 193 passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. So, Rob, you were the closest, right?
We finished with 202 with 1 touchdown, no turnovers.
Right. So
we had 2 total touchdowns, but 1 through the air.
So, Rob, good job again. Okay, so Saquon, both kind of close. Okay, so Rob, you had 101 yards and a touchdown?
Yeah, and he finished with 135 with no touchdowns.
Right. I had 120 for Saquon.
And weren't you and Alex like right at the same number?
Yeah, pretty much. I think I had Saquon 70 yards rushing, 50 yards receiving, or something like that, but 120 all purpose.
Yeah, so you get the W for that.
Okay. Rob, you had the first turnover being Moreau. Alex McKinney, me, Julian Love. So I get the W for that.
It's all tied up.
Then, Rob, you had Bellinger, first touchdown. I had Darius Slayton.
3-2 Donald.
Late comeback for me. But then, Rob, you've tied it up because I had Wandale as the most receiving yards. Rob, you had Slayton.
So we're all knotted up here at 3-3. Is there?
Tied, so we all take the. So I guess we'll take the tie. 3 apiece. That was pretty good work from us, I have to say.
We know our team.
We nailed it. We sure do. We nailed it. That was a good week. Very good week of predictions. Okay. Awards.
All right. Awards. Do you want to take it this week? Do you want me to do it?
Okay. Offensive player of the game.
Got to be the mayor of Dimesville, Mr. Daniel Jones.
Completely agree with you there. We're both going to go DJ. Defensive player.
I want to say Love, but I'm going to stick with the guy that I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to say Fabian Moreau.
I will go Love. And okay. Any other awards you can think of?
We had our offensive player of the game, defensive player of the game. We didn't really do much in terms of special teams. It obviously would go to Gano.
Oh, I guess underrated player.
Right.
Under radar.
Under the radar. Because he didn't show up in the stat sheet at all. But Dexter Lawrence really, once again, was making things happen. And if he didn't get that ridiculous roughing the passer call on him, that continued a drive. I think we would have had to stop there. Dexter Lawrence. Yeah, it was a ridiculous call.
Go Dex. I'm going to go Fabian Moreau. Good job. I think that's our awards for the week. Results. So, I think we've got most of the games pretty much done.
Well, there is still a game going on right now. Don't forget that. The Bears are currently up on the Patriots 17-14.
Oh, we can revisit that. But right now, me and you both had the Giants winning. So that's a W for us. Okay. Lions, Cowboys. Rob, you had the Cowboys. I had the Lions. To be fair, I was close. The Lions almost did it.
Did they, though? It was 24-6. I mean,
okay, well, they were winning at one point. It looked better at halftime. Okay. Bengals. I had the Bengals. Rob, you had the Bengals as well.
Okay. I got 3 so far.
So 3-2, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Colts, Titans. Rob, you had the Titans. I had the Colts.
All right. 4-2.
Oh, my God. I thought I had the Titans. Oh, I did have the Titans, and then I scrubbed it out and went Colts. Donald. Jesus. Never go against your first thought. Green Bay, Washington, we both had Green Bay, and we both said that if Green Bay don't win, they should just retire from the sport. I guess they should retire from the sport. They definitely should retire from the sport. Okay, so we get the L for that. Tampa Bay, Carolina. We both had Tampa Bay for the same reasons as the Green Bay, Washington. If Tampa Bay don't beat Carolina, they should also retire from the sport.
3 points against the Carolina Panthers with basically nobody on their team. Yeah, you should retire. Tom Brady, get the hell out of the NFL.
Unacceptable. Okay. Jets,
Still 4-2.
Denver. We both had the Jets.
All right. I got 5. You got 3.
Okay. Browns, Ravens. We both had the Ravens.
6-4.
Texans, Raiders. I had the Raiders. Rob, you had the Texans?
I did. I didn't trust the Raiders. They've just been so upsetting this year. I thought they'd be so much better. I thought the Texans would pull off the upset. Obviously a bad decision.
Seattle Chargers. I had the Chargers. Rob, you had Seattle.
7-5.
Oh my God. Okay. Chiefs 49ers. We both had the Chiefs.
8-6.
Bears Pats. I have New England. Rob, you have New England.
Right now, we'd both be wrong, but the Patriots just fumbled.
Oh my God. And Rob clinches the week because Steelers Miami. Rob, you went Miami. I went the Steelers because I got excited over their week before, which I shouldn't have done. Although they were very, very close, but no cigar.
I watched that game basically start to finish because I know a bunch of Dolphins, or I know a Dolphins fan that wanted to watch it. And the Dolphins looked terrible, but the Steelers looked that much worse.
Yeah.
It was a very bad game.
Very bad game. So, another week for Rob. Rob, you're killing it. What is the record now? It's no good for me.
I think out of the 7, I have at least 4. So it's not that much of a difference. We have to go back and figure it out. But I know I've won, I think, the last 3 weeks of predictions.
Yeah, you're definitely killing it now. You're getting hot. I'm getting stone cold. So I'll definitely need to reconsider my thinking. Well, we'll go through week 8 in our preview show later this week.
And we will see who wins tonight between the Bears and they got to get the Bears off of primetime TV.
Oh my God!
Every week.
Why are they every week? It's unbelievable.
Every single week. I don't get it. But is there anything else that happened Sunday with the Giants that we did not touch on? We mentioned the injuries. The defense was getting shredded. How concerned are we about it? Yeah. Are we concerned though about this defense in general, or are we just expecting to get ran on every single week?
Well, I mean, I can't be too worried considering we only give up 17 points. I mean, we're not giving up points. So, you know what? If it works, it works. We don't have the personnel to completely whitewash opponents. We really don't, So we have to mix and match. We have to find ways of keeping them off the board, and we're really good in defending the red zone. Really, really good. We just don't give up points in the red zone much at all. And if you look at that in terms of analytics, then we're actually winning. Well, of course we're winning, but we're actually better word choice would be we're doing very, very well defensively. And even though it may not show up in the stats sheet, only a couple of picks here and there all year long, only a couple of sacks here and there all year long, but it all comes together where we don't allow points in the red zone, and we're keeping them off the board, and we're finding ways to win. So yeah, I'm not too worried at all. But next year, remember this: we're 6-1, and we don't even have close to the team that we're probably going to have next year. No. We're going to get better and better year on year. Very exciting times for the Giants. Very, very exciting. Like they are New York's team now.
Well, they have to be because baseball's a joke. In New York sports or New York football is killing it right now. Buffalo's great. The Jets have surprised everybody, and the Giants have surprised everybody. So they are New York teams. Buffalo, might as well not even be a New York team yourself, Mister. It's upstate. Get out of here. Anyway,
Exactly.
the Giants and Jets aren't New York teams. Go jump through a table. I love the Buffalo Bills, and I don't get it. I don't get why they have to be like that. Just we were here. We played there.
They're not New York. I don't care. They are not New York. They're
Orchard Park,
upstate.
Oh man, but yeah, 6-1. It's a great feeling. Victory Monday is always great to celebrate, and we'll see if the Giants can keep the momentum going on the road trip to Seattle. But we'll break all that down later on in the week when we preview that game, and hopefully when we do our next post game, we'll be talking about another Giants victory. But that is still about a week away from now. But that is going to do it for us here, Nerd Out Sports. Rob and Donald. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. Those handles are in the description. Be sure to check out Alex and Luca. Of course, their handles will be in the description. The boys in the Big Apple, the twins, doing great content. Of course, Donald, one of the 3 of the boys in the Big Apple. So be sure to check out that channel and subscribe to us as well. Subscribe to the Pinstripe Chronicles for baseball content, because even though the season is over for us, we're still going to be talking about it over there because we got a lot to say about that dreadful team. Anyhow, that is going to do it for us. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you all next time. Let's go, G-Men. Peace out.
Go Big Blue.